Welcome to the College and Trustee Screening Committee's meeting this morning. We've got several people who could not be here yesterday, and we had to carry over some others, so we'll try to get to these as quickly as possible. The first person up is for Lander University, Marcia T. Heydrich. If you'd come on up to the well, please. And when you get there, just give us for the record, your full name.
My name is, excuse me, my name is Marcia Thrift Heydrich.
All right, if you would raise your right hand and let me swear you in. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, sir, I do.
If you'll give us a brief statement why you'd like to continue serving on the Lander Board.
Okay. Well, first of all, I'd like to thank you for being here another day. I'm
Marcia,
sorry.
could you get up a little closer
Yes.
there so the reporter can get it? Thank you.
Okay, is that good? Okay, thank you for being here another day. I apologize for not being able to attend yesterday due to my schedule. Like I say, I'm from Oconee County. I live in Seneca, South Carolina. It's been a privilege for me to serve on the Board of Trustees for almost 8 years now. I am a Lander alumni. I graduated in 1981 and kept in touch with many of my alumni friends, and it's just an honor for me to give back the educational part of things to the university. As far as being in private business, I feel like I've been able to bring about the area of, in the private business area, of what it takes to run a college, and I feel like that is like running a business. It takes hard work ethics, accountability, and those are the things I really admire in the president that we have at Lander. He's really grown our university since 2015, and almost like drinking out of a fire hose. It's happened so quickly, but a blessing for many students that have crossed over for graduation and so forth. So thank you for allowing me to be here and to serve.
Staff, do you have any information about Ms. Heydrich?
Good morning, Ms. Heydrich. Upon review of your file, I don't have any questions for you, but as we did yesterday, I'm going to ask for the record. Can you please confirm what your home address is?
Yes, ma'am. It's 114 Sunnyview Drive, Seneca, South Carolina.
Perfect. Thank you. And do you pay your 4% or 6% property tax at this address?
4%.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Any questions by the committee members? Senator Scott.
Thank you so much for your willingness to serve. I'm impressed. President of Thrift Brothers, tell me a little bit about that company. Are you the founder of that company or the spouse?
Well, I'll give you the Cliff Note version.
Okay.
My father and his twin brother started this company 60 plus years ago, and I had the privilege of working beside them for 38 years.
Excellent. Tell them what y'all
We are
actually do.
general contractors. Thrift Brothers Incorporated does commercial, and we were road builders until 2003. We did federal and state highway work, and I worked alongside with my father in the bidding process and building of those roads and in the upstate.
Well, we appreciate your willingness to serve. Your college is doing very well with business people like yourself who brings that wealth of knowledge and experience, makes that college grow. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Senator Scott.
Senator Scott, let me echo something about Thrift Brothers. They have been an outstanding company, not only in Oconee County, but throughout the upstate, actually the state. And just a side note, I'm a member of St. Luke Methodist Church in Walhalla. About 12 years ago, our church burned to the ground, and it was a real mess. And her dad came up there at very reasonable, just at his cost, cleared the whole thing for us. And Thrift Brothers did that for a lot of different people up there. So I have nothing but the highest regard for your company.
Very large shoes that we could never fill. We miss them greatly. They both have since passed.
I remember I had a meeting at a restaurant in Seneca, and it was a coffee club, and I got there about 6:30 in the morning, which was early, I thought. And I saw your dad and his brother sitting there, and then they'd already been there an hour. And so they said, yeah, we're used to getting up about 4 in the morning or something. So they were go-getters and very successful.
Well, thank you.
Any other questions? Representative King.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a quick question. I've noticed that you all have done a pretty good job in reference to diversity of your campus and your students. What do you think you need to do further to build upon that as a board member, in your capacity as a board member?
Well, you know, we do have a diversity advisory committee that is made up of students, faculty, staff, board members, and some people from the local community. I feel like that communication is huge. Education is huge. I think it's a wide spectrum of components that need to be continuously addressed and shared not only out of that group of that committee, but to bring back to the administration the pros and the cons that exist and where we need to go for the future. Thank you.
Any other questions? Senator Scott. Senator Scott makes a motion for approval. Is there a second? All those in favor, please raise your right hand. Got it. And I have the proxy for our President Alexander, and he made me make sure that he said aye also. So,
Okay, thank you all so much. I do appreciate your time.
Thank you for your service to Lander.
Thank you. It's an honor.
All right, next up is from the University of South Carolina, J. Patrick Anderson. And if you would, for the record, give your full name.
Yes, sir. Joseph Patrick Anderson.
If you'd raise your right hand, swear you in. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Give us a brief statement why you'd like to serve on the USC board.
Yes, sir. And first, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee, I want to thank you folks for accommodating me. I had a court hearing yesterday, and I know it's like herding cats to probably get everyone here today, but I'm appreciative of that. In the packet I submitted, I used the word formative to describe my experience at University of South Carolina. I meant that in the broadest sense. I met my wife at Columbia, or USC rather. She's a graduate as well, just like me. And the education that I obtained at the university has literally served as the springboard by which I'm able to go to work every day, go to my law practice every day, provide for my family, my wife, and my 2 young boys. And in the simplest terms, I am thankful for that education. So, you know, my simple thought on the matter is if I can help in any way, shape, or form, I'm willing to do it. And that's why I'm here.
Staff, any information on Mr. Anderson?
Good morning, Mr. Anderson. Upon reviewing your file, I don't have any specific questions for you, but just as with everyone else, can you please confirm your home address for the record?
Absolutely. It's 98 Pennell Drive, Spartanburg, South Carolina.
Okay, and do you pay your 4% or 6% property tax at this address?
4%.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any questions? Senator Harpulian.
Sir, tell me why you're running for the board of USC. What prompted you to do this? You ever run before?
I have not. I have not.
So why now?
It's funny how these things can start. You know, go have a drink with some friends or just in conversation wherever you may be, and something like this comes up. People start talking about vacancies and who might run and who might not run. And then it seems that someone, well, at least in my instance, suggested my name. I'd never given it a passing thought. You know, I've grown up around the university my entire life, going back to when I was a little kid going to games and just being involved, you know, well, for a very long time. So someone said to me, you should consider running. I thought about it. I hemmed and hawed for quite a while, and at the end of the day said, why not? If I can help, I'm there.
Did you watch any of the, or were you here yesterday for any of the testimony by the incumbent members of the board?
No, sir, I was in my office, but I was listening to the audio.
And you have any opinions about what we heard yesterday?
It was enlightening, I'll say that much.
Enlightening.
Yes, sir.
Okay. In a good way or a bad way?
Well, I'm saying a good way. I mean, one thought I've had throughout this process is, you know, whether I'm successful or whether I go down in flames, it's going to be a learning experience. And I think anyone who comes in to this position or seeking this position has to have an open mind and understand that you're going to learn, and you're going to have to learn, and you're going to have to always keep an open mind. So that certainly holds true for me yesterday when listening to all of this.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Speaker Lucas.
Mr. Anderson, thank you for being here today, and thank you for your willingness to serve on the Board of Trustees. Could you tell me, if you would, what your belief is for a proper role of a trustee on the University of South Carolina Board?
Yes, sir. And, you know, the packet asked a similar question, I believe, and of course, a lawyer, well, I would say an honest lawyer admits he doesn't know the answer to something, he looks it up. So it's essentially to implement policy, if I can say that word. I don't believe it extends to being involved in or interfering in the day-to-day operations of the university. Of course, that's up to the president and the staff and the other employees, but essentially to implement policy, to guide as needed, and to further the mission of the university, continue with the growth, all the positive changes we've seen.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Representative King.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My line of questioning has been the same in reference to diversity.
Yes, sir.
What would you, as a board member, do to promote diversity, not only in the student body, but as the senior administrators at the campus, at the college?
Yes, sir. Well, I would say first, the diversity is essential, and the way I've thought about it always is that if I was only raised and around folks who look like me, talk like me, sounded like me from similar backgrounds, I would not be the person I am today, which is to say I would be pretty ignorant. Maybe I already am ignorant. I don't know. But you have to take that into consideration and implement policies that promote inclusiveness and continue that mission forward. You know, I don't think it's ever a done job. You always have to continue pushing forward and improve on where you already have gotten and just move forward in the best way you can.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Representative Finley.
You know, I heard your answer to the question of the board's role, but I want to make sure that you understand the history that Representative King and I have been discussing. University of South Carolina currently on campus has roughly the same number of African-American students that it did, what we said, 20, 30 years ago. But please understand that what you said is nice, but it was a decision by the board to grow the school, and specifically to grow the school with out-of-state students, that has increased the size of the school while in essence capping in-state African-American attendees. So what I think the struggle that the board is getting ready to engage in is how do you increase African-American participation when you've been, in essence, become hooked on a revenue stream from out-of-state students, only half of whom are paying full boat. So while those are all good words, it is going to be policy from the board that is going to be required to make those changes. And understand that that policy is also going to involve controlling costs, because the whole point of bringing in out-of-state students paying full fare was to drive revenue. Well, 75 to 80% of your cost is HR, payroll, benefits. So the question very quickly is going to become, are you willing to control those costs? Because without that, you never can balance your budget. Now, what we've seen is a university that has not been willing to do that. I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. I mean, it's pretty simple.
And I would agree. I mean, everyone has to balance their checkbook, right? You know, we run a small shop. I have a law partner and we have a couple of staff members, but within the past 2 weeks, and I know this is a small example, but the logic still applies. We had to get a roof, and we have to look at numbers on a continual and regular basis. Senator Harpillion asked if I was here yesterday, and of course I said I'll listen, but I was a bit shocked. not being in the know about the numbers and the math involved about, well, the Muschamp buyout is a very over-the-top example, but I don't see how any organization can expect to progress if they're not willing to look at the basic numbers and the math.
Any others?
One more, if you don't mind.
Oh, you have another question?
Yes, sir. I think there was reference made yesterday to buyouts of the president's staff. I think there was coaching, but I also think there was maybe reference made to the staff in the president's office. Unclear. If you were a board member, would that be something that you would condone? In other words, creating a system where top administrators have buyouts in their contracts?
I look at it from my perspective as an attorney, and of course you have to sort of rewind the clock to think about how those contracts were approved in the first place. And if I'm advocating for and looking out for the best interest of the university, I would not have been a fan of those, no.
So that's no?
Correct.
Thank you.
Senator Scott.
Thank you so much for your willingness to serve.
Yes, sir.
I see for a while you were in the Seventh Circuit Solicitor's Office
I was.
from 2008, 2011.
Yes, sir.
How diverse was that group in the Solicitor's Office?
I would
That's
say it
up in
was
Spartanburg, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And I
Okay.
would say it was very diverse. Solicitor Gowdy, as I still call him.
Trey under Trey? Yeah,
Yes,
Trey
sir. Yes,
Gowdy.
sir. I think he did a great job, and I honestly loved the job. I considered staying longer, but with a young family and student loans, and this is not Trey's fault, but
Right.
you know, we didn't quite have the budget to get me where I needed to get.
Did you learn anything in terms of working within the group of a diverse population that transferred to your knowledge base, especially looking at an operation that's over $1 billion operation at USC, something you carried from there? Because I said you mentioned earlier that you work for your firm is a very small firm.
Yes, sir.
So I don't realize diverse or not, but you've had a chance to work in a very diverse population. Is there any transferable knowledge you learned from that office you think that will assist you in going, if you're elected to go on the board?
Absolutely.
Okay, share it with us, please.
Yes, sir. The entire experience was obviously a learning experience, and I was a very young attorney, almost freshly out of law school. I clerked for Judge Mark Hayes prior to that, but I have absolutely no regrets starting out as a young solicitor because of, you know, the fact that you're going to hit the ground running. And Trey told me that. He came down and actually interviewed me. It was kind of funny. I called him and said, just following up, I'd love to work for you. He said, I'll come to you. And then 3 minutes later, he was in my office
All right.
in Judge Hayes' chambers. But he said, if you don't want to be in a courtroom, if you don't want to learn, if you don't want to be around a bunch of folks who are willing to help you, it's essentially a family, then this is not the job for you. But you're going to hit the ground running 100 miles an hour. You're going to be in a courtroom. You're going to try cases. You're going to learn things. I think I used the word growth earlier, but during my tenure there, I very much grew in all respects.
Did y'all have any African-American lawyers in
We
that?
did. We
Okay.
did.
And your relationship with them?
It was great. I still see some of them. A lot of folks have moved on. You know, you have sort of career prosecutors or lifers, and then some folks are there for a couple of years, maybe 5, 6. Almost everyone's moved on, but I still see those folks around the courthouse. Good relationships. I mean, I can honestly say that there was not a negative relationship that I had while working there.
Thanks.
Senator Hopkins.
I just have to ask this because it's apparently a theme we heard yesterday. Did you play high school athletics?
I did.
What did you play?
Played baseball and I played football.
And football?
Yes, sir.
College, did you play either one of those?
No, sir.
So your experience with football, baseball is based on your high school experience.
That's correct.
Do you feel you're qualified to advise the athletic director on who a good coach would be for any of those sports?
The honest answer is no.
Do you have any plans to educate yourself so that you become an expert in the hiring and firing of football or baseball coaches?
believe that would be very specialized, and I do not foresee that in my future. No,
So would you defer to the athletic director?
yes, sir.
If he called you and said, what do you think about Coach so-and-so? And we've heard testimony yesterday. What's your response to that?
I suppose I would give him my thoughts on
Well, how would you know? What do you
probably
know?
just-
I
just
mean,
based
you
on what I've read.
read in the newspapers.
Yes, sir.
Or maybe you would restrain and just say, it's your call, Mr. Tanner?
That's possible too, yes, sir.
Wouldn't that be the best thing to do?
To defer to his expertise, yes, sir.
Right. Okay, thank you.
What's the desire of the committee? Approval, is there a second? All those in favor, please signify by raising your right. Oh, got
I
one
thought we
more?
were doing this in executive.
Got another?
No, I thought,
You had a motion.
I erred there. Let me hold off on USC. Thank you.
right, thank you.
Thank y'all. We'll take you up at a later date. Yes, sir.
All right, next one is C. Brody
Ernest,
Glenn.
man. Who's he with?
You'll give your first full name for the record, please, sir.
Excuse me, yes, sir. I'm Carl Brody Glenn.
If you'll raise your right hand, I'll swear you in. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
Give a brief statement why you'd like to serve on the board.
Yes, sir. First off, I'd like to thank y'all for accommodating my schedule. I was here yesterday, but had a commitment with my daughter in Greenville at 7, so I had to leave early. As far as serving on the board for the University of South Carolina, I had the opportunity to be chairman of the City of Greenville Planning Commission for many years. It was something that was very beneficial to me, but also I was able to see how I could help and bring my knowledge as a real estate developer and try to improve my hometown. I served on the board for over 10 years. I was chairman of the Planning Commission for over 10 years. And I feel like that it was something that now looking back, my guidance helped bring Greenville to what it is. Certainly it was a whole team effort, but it was something that I did play some role in. Would like to do the same for the University of South Carolina. That gave me so much.
Thank you, sir. Staff, any information?
Good morning, Mr. Glenn. Upon review of your file, I don't have any specific questions for you, but just as everyone else, can you please state your home address for the record?
Of course, 12 Woodland Way Circle, Greenville, South Carolina, and I pay 4% there.
Perfect, thank you.
You got it.
Questions?
I heard you say that you were a developer, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Do you think the university has a role in development, or should that be left more to private developers and things like capital leases be involved versus attempting to put the state's credit?
So, I mean, I think there's a way to do things that does not put the state, I think that's one of the things that I can really help with is you don't have to put the state's credit involved as far as finding a way to make a real estate development as risk averse as possible. And if the university is involved, the university is bringing the students, they're bringing the income, they're bringing all that. And therefore, their risk tolerance should be different than the developer. The developer is the one that should, the private sector should take that risk. And it's all how you structure that deal. And so how do you find a way to structure the deal so that the state, the university's credit is not involved? And at times it may be using the foundation or using some other element that the university still has that income through the endowment or the foundation, but it's all how you structure the deal and all how you finance it.
You know, I heard you mention that you wanted to make, you'd watched Greenville develop. Do you think Greenville would have developed as well if it had had as much property off the property tax rolls because of the foundation and the university's avaricious gobbling up a property and immediately taking it off the tax rolls? Because it seems to me, as I hear you discuss putting stuff into the foundation, that immediately in many regards becomes non-tax. So you have a city attempting to provide services for the university, and I'm not denying that the university does a lot for USC, but it immediately destroys another huge part of the tax base.
Right, so when I say using the foundation, I'm talking about making sure the credit, university's credit's not involved. And so in Greenville, what we did, so I was the developer for the baseball stadium. I was also the developer for the new Camperdown project right across from the Peace Center. Redeveloped many of the buildings up there. We did a lot of public-private partnerships, and the goal was not to take stuff off the tax roll. The goal was to create income for the tax roll. And if we hadn't created income for the tax roll, then we wouldn't have had money to put back into downtown to help downtown prosper.
What I've noticed, I served on city council here and have lived here my whole life, is that,
For the city of Columbia.
yes, sir.
Great.
Unfortunately, what we discuss is public-private. Quite frequently is that the private makes the profit
Right.
and the public takes the hit.
Right, and it should not be that way. I mean, it should be, the university is a great driver of income, should be a great driver of income for Columbia. And it's how do you structure those deals? In Greenville, what we did is we took all the buildings and made all the buildings private. Therefore, we created income for the city. And we took all the parking garages, and most of the parking garages are public. And that's how we structured a lot of the public-private stuff. Most of my development is out of the state of South Carolina. We've got 30 projects going throughout the country, all the way to Arizona, Nevada. And dealing with every jurisdiction is different, and trying to figure out what each jurisdiction's goals are is different.
Senator Scott?
It sounds like you run a pretty large organization in terms of what you're doing. I've been in Greenville, and y'all are just growing so rapid. How diverse is your company?
So surprisingly, people think that we have a large company, so we only have 9 employees.
You subcontracting all your work out?
We subcontract a lot of work out. Of course, we do not build it, but we hire consultants from architects, engineers.
Even in that process of using diverse and contract relationships for minority participation, is she doing that volume of work? How diverse has that been in terms of your policy?
So as far as our consultants we take on the road with us when we go outside of Greenville. We do not have a diversity. Really, the consultants we've been working with have been working with for 20 years or so, and it's really up to those guys who they hire. From a diversity standpoint, in our business, I'd like to see more diversity.
So in essence, there is no diversity blueprint in terms of your policy, because you're the president and vice president, CEO of that operation. And in terms of you letting contracts, you can make indication in your contract what you're actually looking for. Because I'm looking for some diverse experience, because you're going to be operating a $1 billion-some-odd industry,
Right.
which diversity is very important, having some knowledge and footprint and having some kind of feel how important that is in order to continue to grow the services.
Absolutely. So I'll tell you, so my partner, we're doing a big self-storage platform throughout the country. My partner is an African-American, and somebody that I deal with and talk with every day. Right. He is a leader in diversity, is creating different programs throughout that. As a guy from Atlanta, a very successful business guy. And I lean on him lots of times with that. But like I said, we don't have a diversity program in place. Diversity is something that is extremely important. And it starts at the foundation, especially in education. How do you, from listening to the conversations yesterday, if I remember correctly, 10.5% of our students are African-American, 5.5% of our faculty.
That's if you look at all of the schools that you do have, but look at the Columbia campus, which has been the main focus. I think you're at 5%, less than 6%.
Right, in the private sector, we set goals. So this is a goal that's clear. We need to try to educate and make sure we educate more African Americans. And so, in my opinion, I'm friends with a lot of people on different university boards throughout the country, and it's going and looking at what's succeeded. How have people succeeded in doing this? And trying to take different examples of what's worked. I mean, it might be going all the way back into grade school and high school to try to help build the foundation to have more people come. And then faculty is pretty simple, it's the hiring and firing policies and how we're going to deal with that. But really and truly, like we had in the city of Greenville, you have to have a long view. And so the long view is, this is what our goal is, and this is what we're going to do in the short term, but this is how we're going to try to help in the long term. And like I said, it's the foundation. It's going back to make sure we're getting the right students and
Well,
recruiting.
Mr. Glenn, if you look at Clemson, they're noted for engineering, ICOD, you look at USC's Dalamo School of Business, Business and Development. And these are some of the best and brightest minds you're going to be trying to attract into a business school, and looking at business people going on that board. What real impact will they have in terms of decision-making, the best way to grow the Dalamo School of Business? Is it to be just a local school of business, a national school of business, an international school of business? And I think they're looking more global, international. So the behavior of the direction that the school of business go into is very important. And somebody's got to set the tone in terms of, we're going to meet the needs of the industry, especially with all these corporations we coming in, and they're looking for us to develop the players to go to it. We've got to make sure that our emphasis is of where they need to be, because if not, other schools, University of Georgia, North Carolina, they're going to take those people, and they're going to put them, become your competitor to come back for these same jobs you're going out of state to try to get.
Right. And I went to the University of Georgia and got my MBA. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot, I mean, education is important. Also, who we surround students with is important, because students learn from each other. And having the purpose of having a diverse background is not just for the African-American student, it's also that benefits everybody else, because that's who you're going to deal with in society.
Anyone else? What's the desire of the committee for approval? Yes, dang.
Thank y'all.
All right, Willow Gray, Opportunity School. First is J. Blake Lindsay. If you come on up, for the record, give your name, full name, please, sir.
My name is Jeffrey Blake Lindsay.
If you raise your right arm, do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do, sir.
All right, if you'll give a brief statement why you'd like to serve on the Willow Gray.
Well, my pleasure to be here this morning, first of all, and I thank you for the opportunity to do so. This is my first time to ever apply for a board position, and you could probably understand my little bit of apprehension in standing before you, gentlemen. My experience from Willow Gray comes from basically what I would call in the trenches. I was a volunteer at Willow Gray for 3.5 years, and I became very involved in the lives of the young people that were part of that school situation. And it became incumbent upon me, as my thoughts toward this increased, that I would love to be involved in helping this niche school, because that's what it is. It fills a niche. And to me, the opportunity for me as I continue to work with these young people specifically is that I would hope to have that opportunity, and I explored that opportunity, and as a result, found out about the opening and applied accordingly. And it is my hope that be the pleasure of the board to allow me to serve with this group.
Questions? Senator Scott.
I'm looking at your resume or your information you sent to us. Risk Consulting, Inc. Tell me a little bit about that operation. You
Which
said
one is it now?
your past employment history, Risk Consultants, Inc.
Yes, sir.
10 years.
Yes, sir. I was a safety and risk consultant. They were based out of Atlanta. I worked remotely, and I traveled the country doing safety and risk control audits for various and sundry types of businesses, from manufacturing to construction, to schools. My specific involvement with schools was both property and general liability coverage exposures. So that's principally what my involvement was there.
Tell me about Midlands Technical College. You seem to be pretty bright and very sharp, and especially to be able to get your insurance license. I know how difficult that was even back when you took the exam. I mean, what happened? You decided that Midlands Technical College, criminal justice was degree. You decided it was too slow for you? You
Well,
didn't do something else, a little bit more aggressive?
At the time, I was married and had some small children.
Yeah.
And my career in the area of law enforcement, I started there, but because of just demands of the family,
Right.
it preempted that, and so I was not able to complete that. I wish I would have,
That's all right.
but time did not afford me that accordingly.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. Chairman, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Anybody else? What, I finally get to say it. What's the desire of the committee? Thank you. All those in favor signify by saying you're right. Congratulations. Let me tell you, don't ask for any commitments from any legislator till you hear from Macy.
Very good, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And our last person for Willow Gray is Marilyn E. Taylor. Good morning, and for the record, if you give your full name, please.
Good morning, Marilyn Edwards Taylor.
If you'll raise your right hand, I'll swear you in. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Brief statement on why you'd like to serve for Willow Gray.
Well, I have been on the board for a number of years, and my motivation to continue has not changed. And it's strictly because of the mission of the school and Dr. Gray. It's a very simple mission, but it has been very impactful to a lot of students. Her goal was to help at-risk kids who have made mistakes, who have had some obstacles, and really encourage these kids that, you know, you can make mistakes, you can have obstacles, but if you can move past it, there are some other opportunities on the other side that oftentimes can allow you to be successful. And for over 100 years, she has been able to, you know, leave her mark and allow the school to perform in that kind of excellence. And who wouldn't want to be a part of that and continue to be a part of that? So that is my main reason for pursuing the board.
Questions? Senator Scott?
Thank you so much for your willingness to serve. I also noticed that you not only have a undergraduate degree, but a master's degree in talking with young people and trying to get them to pursue other degrees or either technical school, 4-year. How successful has that been with those at-risk kids and turning their lives around, even going into the military, when you have those conversations?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that for me again?
Those young people who come through, trying to get their GED, get out, and the way we did the statutory language for tech school, they can go to tech school. How successful have you been in getting them to go through that process, going to technical school, them talking about 4-year institutions and other types of degrees and certificates to move into the job market?
Okay.
How successful have you been with doing that?
Well,
since your tenure on the board?
I think the school has been extremely successful in allowing that to happen. In fact, it was sort of funny, and it's actually on the website currently, and it looks at a lot of the folks who have been a part of the Willow Gray program, and it's amazing to see a lot of the success that has actually been in place with a lot of graduates. You know, you have graduates who have attended Willow Gray who are doctors. You have graduates who are in high-profile positions in the military, and they have a wide array of success. So that basically sort of shows you how Willow Gray has been so impactful in allowing not only for you to complete your GED, but also pursue further education.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President.
Representative King.
Thank you. I just want to first just thank you for your service to our state. I noticed that you are a member of Delta Sigma Theta
Yes, I
sorority.
am.
My mother and all my sisters and my dear friend who's visiting with me today from Georgia, former Representative D. Dawkins Hagler, is a Delta. I just wanted to make sure that you all met each other.
Thank you. Absolutely.
Oh, a success story. So I just thank you for your service, and I thank Willow Gray for giving some young people a chance that probably would have fallen through the cracks if you hadn't been there. So,
Absolutely.
do I have a motion? There's a motion for approval and second. All those in favor signify by saying raising your right hand. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Please do not ask for any commitments, although you don't need them, but, you know, before Macy lets you know.
Okay, thank you. I
Thank you.
appreciate it.
All right, at this time, we're going to revisit we carried over quite a number of folks yesterday, so at this time, I'll recognize Representative Finley. Oh, I'll call out the first one, sorry. First one is Charles H. Williams of Orangeburg. Now Representative Finley.
Move to carry Charles H. Williams over.
There's a motion to carry over Charles H. Williams. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Mr. Williams is carried over. Next is C. Dorn Smith III.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we carry him over.
There's a motion to carry over C. Dorn Smith III. All those in favor? Second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
No? Good. All right. Next is Alexander. There's a move for approval and a second for Alexander English. All those in favor, please signify by raising your right hand. Alexander English is approved, and I hope you can get in touch with him to tell him that, make sure he doesn't ask for any commitments, since he's not here this morning. Next is D. Benjamin Graves of Spartanburg. Speaker Lucas. Motion to approve. There's a second. All those in favor, please signify by raising your right hand. Opposed, no. D. Benjamin Graves is approved. Henry L. Jolly Jr. of Gaffney. Move to approve in a second. All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. Approval is there. Next, we have John C. Von Lay, Representative Finley.
Move to carry over.
Second.
There's a motion to carry over Von Lay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, ayes have it. We will carry over Mr. Von Lay. Next is Thad H. Westbrook, Representative Finley.
Move to carry over.
Second.
There's a motion to carry over Mr. Westbrook. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. Next, we have C. Edward Floyd, Move to carry over by Senator Scott. All those in favor, I put you back in the house, didn't I? Please don't.
We agree.
They're recording this. We got to be good now. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Ayes have it. All right. C. Edward Floyd is carried over. Next, we have D. Hollis Feckle II. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve. Second. All those in favor, please signify by raising your right hand. D. Hollis Feckle is approved. Next, C. Brody Glenn.
Move to approve.
And a second. All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. C. Brody Glenn is approved. Reed T. Sherrard. I think I got that right this time. For approval, is there a second? All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. Mr. Sherrard is approved. We have two more. J. Patrick Anderson this morning. Is there a motion?
Second.
All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. Mr. Anderson is approved. And last, C. Brody Glenn. Is there a motion?
Second.
All those in favor signify by raising your right hand.
Move to adjourn, Mr. Chairman.
And there's a move to adjourn, and I assume. We did that. Okay. Any other, before we adjourn, is there any comments or questions from the committee?
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
just.
Any other things? Thank you, committee. Thanks for your hard work yesterday. It was a long day, but I think we got a lot of answers we needed to hear from.